Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar on mastering auto updates for desktop applications. My name is Renato, and I'm glad to have you all here today. Today's session, we are going to explore the power of auto updates for desktop applications and how mastering this process can help streamline your deployment cycles. First, let's take a quick look at what we'll be covering today. We'll start by discussing why keeping your software up to date is important for both security and to ensure your users have a smooth experience. Next, I will show you how you can speed up your deployment process using the Advanced Installer Updater. And lastly, we'll dive into some advanced configuration options so you can customize your auto update setup to match your specific needs. Let's begin by discussing why software updates should be a priority in your application strategy. First, regular updates fix security issues and protect your users. We all know that outdated software is vulnerable to cyber attacks, so timely updates will keep sensitive data safe. But updates aren't just about security, they also significantly enhance performance. And that's because regular updates optimize your application, making it faster, more stable, and more user-friendly. And this directly translates into greater user satisfaction. Technology and industry standards evolve continuously, and keeping your application updated ensures compatibility with the newest operating systems and also compliance with the current regulations. And this helps minimizing disruption for your users and also maintains the smooth operation. Finally, you should consider user perception and retention. Users quickly abandon applications that appear outdated. Regular updates clearly communicate ongoing care and investment in your product, and this helps you retain users and significantly reduce churn rates. Now that we've discussed the importance of software updates, let's explore how Advanced Installer Updater addresses the challenges that we have just discussed. First, it automatically checks and manages application updates. This means you no longer need to worry about manual checks, as your users will always have the latest version without additional effort. Second, the updater offers user-friendly notifications and seamless integration. Updates are delivered smoothly, minimizing disruption and also enhancing the user experience. It provides a centralized management of update packages from one single place. You can manage and distribute updates efficiently, simplifying version control and deployment significantly. It also enables rapid deployment of patches and updates, and this ensures that critical fixes and new features are delivered to users quickly and efficiently. And this will keep your app stable, secure, and continually improving. Finally, perhaps most importantly, Advanced Installer Updater reduces the workload for developers and support teams. By automating the update process, it frees up valuable time and resources, allowing your team to focus on other critical tasks. Now, let's break down how the updater works step by step, and then we will make a demo to better understand the process. The update mechanism involves four essential components. We have the application v1, application v2, the updater, and the update configuration file. And now let's briefly clarify their roles. The application v1 is the original version of your application that's already installed on the user's system. The application v2 is the updated application version that you intend to deliver. The updater is an executable file that's bundled within your application. Its job is to check for the available updates, and the configuration file is a file that contains essential information about the available update. Now, when the advanced updater runs on the user's machine, Here's what happens step by step. The advanced updater connects to your server to retrieve the configuration file. After downloading the configuration file, it reads the update information. It identifies that a newer version, in this case application v2, is available based on the content of the configuration file. And finally, the updater downloads the application v2 and initiates the installation process seamlessly on the user's device. Now, let's make a demo. I've already prepared a C# Windows Form application that will be packed, installed, and then updated. Here is the application. So let's consider this the version 1.0 of the application. I will build a project to get the resource files. And the next step is to open Advanced Installer to create the installer package for the version 1.0 of the application. I will choose the professional template project because this will give us access to the updater together with many other features. And first, I will quickly edit the product details. Okay, and the next step is to add the resource files. For this, we need to go to the Files and Folders page and add the resource files under the Application folder. Now, let's create a shortcut for our application, a desktop shortcut. For this, right-click on the executable, and then select New Shortcut to Install File. And here choose the desktop folder. Now it's time to add the update capabilities to the installer package. And for this, you need to go to the updater page and check this option here, check for updates using advanced updater. Now, in this field here, you need to add the path to the update configuration file that will be used by the updater to determine if an update is available or not. I will use Dropbox to store the update, but you can use your own server. You can use a cloud storage service. You just need to upload the configuration file of the file of the configuration file that you create and get the download link from that server or from a place that is reachable. So for now, I need to create a dummy configuration file and upload it on Dropbox in order to generate the download link. And then I will overwrite this file with the one that I will create later in this demo. So basically, this is how configuration file should look like. But this time, till I generate the new one, I will type a text here in order the TXT file not to be empty because I cannot upload it on Dropbox. So once I get this file, I will upload it here to generate the download link. Okay, now I will use the download link and I will paste it here in this field. And now let's create a shortcut for the updater, a desktop shortcut. Okay, so now we are ready to build the installer project in order to generate the installer for the version 1.0. Now let's see if the installer has been generated. And here it is. Let's append v1 in order to avoid any misunderstandings. Now let's return to Visual Studio and make some changes to this form in order to simulate the version 2.0 of the application. I will change the text from this label. And let's add another button, and also another checkbox. And the last step is to change the assembly version to 2.0. And now let's build a project to get the resource files for the version 2.0. Okay, so let's go back to Advanced Installer and let's go to the application folder view. And as you can see, the version 2.0 has been automatically checked by Advanced Installer. Now we need to go to the product details and change the version from 1.0 to 2.0. Okay, and then you'll be prompted to generate a new product code, and you should generate a new one. And now let's make some changes to the installer itself. Let's change the theme for the installer of the version 2.0. I will choose this one and set as current. Okay, and now let's build the project. And let's check if the installer for the version 2.0 has been created. And here it is. Let's append v2 here. Okay, and now the last step is to create the update configuration file. For this, we will open Advanced Installer again, but this time we need to go to the update section and create new updates configuration project. Now to create a new update, you can use the new update button and make sure that you choose the version 2. Now here we need to specify the URL from where the update version can be downloaded. So first we need to upload the version 2.0 on Dropbox and then get the download link and place it here. Okay, let's get the link. And paste the link here. In the Update Installer tab, you can see the product version is 2.0, and here you can specify the release notes that will be displayed by the updater when new updates will be found. So let's write here version 2 is available. And let's write here new features added to version 2. Okay, now let's build this project. Let's create a new folder first. Okay, and this configuration file should have the same name with the file that I've uploaded to Dropbox. So in this case, I will name it updates file. Okay, and now let's build the project. And we need to go to take the configuration file and upload the file on Dropbox. Because I've mentioned the configuration file has the same name with the one on Dropbox. Basically, I will override the file here so the download link will be the same. And now let's install the version 1.0 of the application. Okay, you can notice there are two shortcuts that are created on desktop. One shortcut for the application, we have the version 1.0 here, and another shortcut for the updater. Let's launch the updater now. It checks for updates. A new update is available. So you can notice the theme that I chose for the version 2 of the application. And now let's install it. And if I launch the application, you can see that the application has been successfully updated. And here we have the version 2.0 running. Take a look at some of the standout features of Advanced Installer Updater and also see exactly how each one enhances your software distribution strategy. First, automating your update schedules eliminates manual checks, saving valuable time. It ensures continuous security and performance improvements for your applications without additional effort. Advanced Installer also enables you to deliver updates securely by supporting secure protocols and digital signature validation. This ensures every update you deploy is trusted, safe, and reliable. You can customize the installer by changing the background color, buttons color, or text color so that it matches your brand. Advanced Installer helps you engage users with those notifications. These notifications clearly inform users about new updates and so on without needing extra coding effort from your team. You can easily customize updates through powerful command line support. This gives you greater control over the entire update process. And also, Advanced Installer supports incremental updates, including canary and production releases. These are just some of the key capabilities. There are many more you can explore to further streamline your update process. But now let me show you an important feature of Advanced Installer Updater, namely the integration within applications. You can integrate the updater into various types of applications, such as C++ applications, C# or Java. But for this session, I've prepared two scenarios to demonstrate how the updater can be integrated into a C# application. So in the first scenario, the users can check for updates directly from within the application without using the updater shortcut. And in addition, users can configure the updater within the application. First, I will install the version 1.0 of the application. And before launching the app, I will open the solution in Visual Studio. Okay, I'll close this one. So when integrating the updater into your application, the first step is to compute the updater path. Having this updater path, you can launch the updater within different command line options. For example, the silent command here tells the updater to silently check for updates. If updates are found, then the updater will be launched with full UI and display them to the user. Otherwise, it will exit immediately. And in this case here, I've created a method that silently launch the updater after 10 seconds from the moment the application is launched. So let's launch the app now. And you can see that after 10 seconds, the updater will be launched and will detect that new updates are available. And here you can see the dialog. Now, another method that I've been created, launch the updaters configurations dialog by using this configure option. And I can basically customize the updater within the application. I can go to the updater configuration dialog. Here you can specify the frequency, but note that if the users do not use the app within this period, then the updater will not download and install the updates. So you need to take this into consideration. And in order to cover this scenario, you can create a schedule task, and Advanced Installer allows you to create a scheduled task for the updater. Now, let's install the version 2.0 of the application. You'll notice that the version 2.0 will have an extra button here. The color of this panel will be changed, and also here will be specified the version 2.0. And now I don't have to use an update shortcut to check for updates. I can do it within the application. And you can see that updates are found by the updater. So let's install the updates. And now let's launch the application. And as you can see, now we have the version 2.0 installed. So the application has been successfully updated. Now we have another color here, the extra button, and here on this label, version 2.0 is specified. Now let's go on with the second scenario. For this second scenario, we want the updater to silently check for updates, download them if available, and install them after the users close the application. And we also inform the user that the update will be installed after he closes the app. First of all, I will install the application. And before launching the app, let me show you the code. I will open the solution in Visual Studio. Now, as you can see, in this case, after I compute the updater path, I check for updates using the just check command. This performs a silent check with no user interface, and you will get a return code from the updater. If the return code from the updater is 0, it means that an update is available. So you can start the download operation in the background, and you can do it by using the command just download. Once the update is downloaded, you can inform the user that an update is available and will be installed. And once the user closes the application, you can launch the updater to install the updates with no graphical user interface. And I've also implemented here a toast notification to inform the user again after closing the app that the application is installing an update. Now, let's launch the application. So this is the version 1. You can see here that it's specified the version 1.0. And the updater silently check for updates. It detects an update, download the update, and once the update is downloaded, there is a message that informs the user that an update is available and has been downloaded, and it will be installed after the user closes the app. In the version 2 of the application, you'll notice different colors for the panels. Also version 2.0 will be specified here, and an extra button will be in this panel. So I close the application. I can see here a toast notification that the application is installing an update, and it suggests not closing the device. Wait a couple of seconds for the application to be updated. When I launch the application, I can see that the version 2.0 is installed. An important aspect here is that when installing per user, you don't need elevation to silently install an update. But when installing per machine, you need elevation. With Advanced Installer, you can configure the installer project so you can automatically perform a silent update of your application without elevation. You only need elevation when you install the application. And regarding the updater, for more commands, you can find a page on our website where all the available options for the updater are documented. That's all for the demo. Now let's continue with the Q&A session.
So a good question from Klaus is, I see the URL for the new version is fixed in the install project. Is there a possibility to change the URL from within the install application if it was changed after the installation of version 1 example? Yes, as my colleagues already written, you can set the URL as a parameter when executing the command line, executing the updater via the command line, or from within your application. And of course, once you install your second version of your application, you can you can configure that to contain the new URL too. So the updater has multiple options to be configurable via the command line, not just through our user interface. So what we showed in the first demo was like the basic and most easiest configuration of the updater without writing any code, without doing any customizations inside your applications, but you have a lot more options to customize the experience. Another question from Craig. Are we able to allow non-elevated users to cause the update to be installed? By default, if the installation is configured to install per machine, we require admin privileges. So if you have an application that's installed per machines, you either have to, with the user that installs it, be an admin, or have that installation handled by a different user account. So in our case, we allow you to configure a service that installs the first time the application is installed. So the first time you install application must be installed by an admin or some sort of an admin account. And once that gets installed, even if the application is run by non-elevated users, by standard guest accounts, they will be able to update because there is a pre-configured service that allows them to apply the updates without requiring any more elevations. But only the initial install of the application would require an admin account to approve it. Or if it's in the case of an corporate the deployment or something, it's going to be deployed by under a system account. Another question from Ludwig. Is it possible to have the updater in a subdirectory, or is it required to be in the root directory of the installation? So the root directory is just the default for advanced installer. You can drag and drop the updater in any folder from the package. There is no requirement on the install location. Another question from Randy, does the advanced updater support MSIX applications? So for the moment, we haven't invested in this part because Microsoft offers a native integration for MSIX packages via their app installer. And there were points in their life cycle of the app installer where they suspended the support. So we're currently gathering feedback to see what scenarios are not covered correctly by the app installer or as you would want to be, and how you would want to update it, because it's not the same functionality as you would have into an MSI. Because of the design of the MSIX package, where we have less control on the install experience, we need to change some workflows in deploying updates for that. But it's doable. It was just not a priority for us because most of the users adopted using the app installer and native support from the operating system. Are there possible licensing solutions for managed service providers? To me, it's not that clear what the question is. So we designed this updater to serve as a utility tool for people that build their own applications and deploy them to large user bases. I don't understand the case for managed service provider. Do you manage the updates of your customers for which you develop the applications? Basically, we don't have a limit on the number of updates that you can deploy as long as you host them on your own servers, and because we don't host the updates for you. We just give you the tools to manage and to deploy them. But to have a clear point of your use case, I would recommend you email us at support@advancedinstaller.com and we can clarify. We have some examples for native C++ that does not use MFC. I think we do in our examples, but I'm not sure. So we had one for C++, one for C#, one for even for VB.NET. And even though I think there was a Node.js example, I don't know if I'm mixing that up with another sample for another functionality from another installer. But basic functionality is the same. It doesn't matter what framework you use for the UI of your application. It's just calling an external exe file from your code and handling the return codes as per our documentation. But if you have problems using our samples, just share a repository on GitHub with whatever you tested, and we'll try to guide you to get that test working. People are asking if we have a public GitHub repo with the projects. That's a good idea. We created those projects a long time ago, and we actually didn't update them. We just posted portions of the code that are most important for you. But we should consider re-sharing those samples on a. We have a GitHub repository for Cathion and some of our open source projects, but not for these samples. We should definitely consider updating that and include the full sample so it's easier for you to get started. What about if we want to update the application in phase and not update all the applications at once? Probably mean like gradual rollout to some of the customers, but not all of them. Okay, so my guys posted two articles with some scenarios. It's not sure if this fits your scenario or not. But if it doesn't fit the scenario, please email us and we'll see how we could do this, or if there is a request for an improvement in the future that we can accommodate inside. One question from Paul. Are there any issues with trying to use the updater through a SharePoint site? So by a SharePoint site, I assume you use the SharePoint site to host the new version of the updates configuration file. So as long as the SharePoint site responds to the updater request with a classic HTTPS request and doesn't add additional headers in that response, that might break the updater and not allow it to parse the configuration file. So in the example that Renato made, we shared the file on a Dropbox, but we had to change one parameter in the URL to force the Dropbox server to just serve us the file in text format and not serve us an HTML page where it embeds that file. If it serves an HTML file as a response to the updater, it will not parse it correctly. So the SharePoint site needs to respond with a basic text file containing just the contents of the configuration file. Otherwise, the updater won't be able to read it and to see if there are any updates available or not. And the same for the new version of the package. So it should give a direct URL to download that package, not a link to a HTML page that contains that package. If the installation of the update fails, is there a way to either keep the old version installed or reinstall it? Or does it require to make the installation side by side? When you create the installer outside of the updater configuration, you can specify an upgrade order. So that you first install the new one and then configure the installer to remove the old one. That's one option. But if you select the default one, the default version, the default order is to remove the first version and then install the new one. If the old version was uninstalled, there is currently no option to reinstall that old version in case the new versions fails for some reason. So the users would need to manually reinstall it. You could have like a backup custom action, like a rollback custom action into your installer to try to restore the old version, but it's not going to be an easy design because you don't know exactly what version the users have. So it's going to be quite a headache just try to reinstall the old version. It's better to change the upgrade order if this is the case, but it's better not to fail at all. So if you see that you have a high rate of failure during upgrades, try to troubleshoot that and see what's the source and improve it, because it's not normal to have a high rate of failures. Okay, one new question from Stanislav. Does the updater exe contain only the new files updater or even old ones that haven't changed from the base MSI package? So first of all, the files are not contained by the updater. The updater is just a delivery tool. So the updater connects to your server, is going to download the new MSI or exe from that server, and is going to launch it to install silently or with full UI, depending on how you configure it. And when you create that new version, you have the option to also create a patch. So By default, a new version of your application will create a full package that contains the new change files and the old files that haven't changed in between versions. If you want to deploy a smaller version with just the changes between those two versions or between multiple versions, you have the options to create a patch from within Advanced Installer. And that patch will create or will contain only the changes between the target and within the old and the new versions. Creating patches is a little bit more delicate. You need to follow some strict rules from Windows installer in order for those packages to run, and you are limited on some changes in the package. We have listed all those patching rules in our documentation. And you also need to consider scenarios where you target multiple versions with the same patch. So, because not all users will upgrade from version 2 to version 3. Maybe you have version 1, version 1.5, and you have 5 old versions, and all of them decide to update to the latest one. So you need to make sure that patch works for all of them or great. And it's a little bit more work to configure that. But if you have like hundreds or thousands of users, and it is worth the work to optimize that, then you could do it. This happens natively for MSIX packages. So for those that don't know, when you create an MSIX package and install it, and when you then install the next version, the operating system knows automatically to handle and download only the files that have changed based on the information from the manifest that it reads in those files. Of course, when you're using the app installer from to define the update. Thank you all for joining us. And if you have any more questions, just email us at support@advancedinstaller.com. Have a great day.